Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I have a replay for you guys from last Wednesday's mini tournament where I played Math is Might, very strong 501 player, and I want to showcase one of my favorite strategies in the game, Worm Wasp. Made a video about this before, but I think this one was very epic and I wanted to highlight it. Now, here I decided to pick Steel Balls with the Crawlers, very powerful opener in my opinion. Good for aggro, and the Typhoons are always going to be useful. At least for a bit, and if not, then you have 300 resources that you can sell them for. And my opponent here decides to go for a Steel Ball pack as well, but has the Fangs to start with instead of the Crawlers. So I should be favored here in a headbutt type situation, because the Crawlers should be stronger than the Fangs. And I presume both of us should buy Arc Lights, at least definitely my opponent, because of the triple Crawlers I have. Now I am taking a bit of a page out of Woot's book here by setting up in a way that I've seen him set up. I don't know if I got all of the squares and the distances quite right, but I know that he's been playing Crawlers in this type of formation. And so I decided to try it out in this game because I found it it performed somewhat well, at least in the early game. So I tried something different. One Crawler behind the right tower, just to make sure that we might be able to delay some of the advance on the right side. I'm not too worried though, especially seeing this setup now. Steel Balls are very far in the back, and all of the other units here, Arc Lights and Fangs, are quite slow. So shouldn't be too much of a problem. And let's see how this goes. Normally speaking, I should be able to beat the left side relatively convincingly. I might play everything in 1.5 times speed. Let me know what you think about it down below. I've seen some comments of people who think that the videos might be a bit long. And I know they can be, so maybe 1.5 times speed is just fine for watching as well. It looks like we should just about win, but all the Steel Balls will go down. It's just going to be the... I say that, never mind. The Steel Ball decides that it will survive, and the 2 Arc Lights as well. Route number 2, we get a bunch of interesting cards. Subsidized Arc Light, of course, could be very good, especially with how strong Arc Light still is. But Improved Tarantula is sometimes a bit of a slept-on card. This does enable Tarantulas, very much so. The additional movement speed and the built-in HE they get, because they go up from having 5 HE to now having 9 splash, really does help them out. And it means that oftentimes with just range, you'll already be at the point of normal Tarantulas with range and HE. So yeah, both of us here decide to pick it up. My opponent gets 2 of them, sells out of 1 Steel Ball to make that happen. But we get some good locks nonetheless. In the middle here, Steel Balls are doing a fantastic job, and my Tarantula is helping out as well. Tarantula gets distracted, and so the Steel Balls, even though they are on low HP, you can see them getting splashed by those improved Tarantulas. Managed to get another kill, and that means they'll be able to level up. These might become really useful as this game goes on. And yeah, my Tarantula, sadly, very close to leveling up. That would have been a massive benefit for me, but can't be too unhappy about how this round went. Round 3, I get my Typhoon. And here we have a bunch of new units to choose from. Sandworm, Phoenix, Rhino, and Marksman. Now, I don't really have any anti-air, so it's probably going to have to be Marksman or Phoenix. And I don't like playing Marksman on aggro, so I pick the Phoenix instead. My opponent goes for the Marksman though. And because I have a Typhoon here, Typhoon Phoenix is a pretty decent combination. It's kind of a budget version of something like Typhoon Boat. You've got the DPS in form of the Phoenix, and you've got the Shaft Clear in form of the Typhoon. I decide to run that into the right tower. Hopefully the Typhoon should clear the Fangs, and then the Phoenix will take care of the rest. Opponent though, round 3, already gets enough money to be able to buy range on the Tarantulas, so definitely is favored in that headbutt, or that mirror rather. I pick up another tarantula, no range though. Opponent sells out of the steel balls, and I level up the steel ball that was doing so well for me in the first 2 rounds. More crawlers added to the right side, but Typhoon should be able to take care of this. And yeah, you can see the leveled steel balls there doing a good job, but on the left, 2 of them already died with the debuff. Oh, just another fantastic timer there. And the steel balls just gobbling up experience, already almost or over halfway to the 3rd level. And now I get one of my favorite cards in the game, Improved Wasp. This card is so good, but a lot of people don't want to run the best text to be able to make use of this card optimally. But I do. And I give up a lot for it. Granted, I can't run something like Jump Drive. I can't run something like Shielded Wasp, which are very good if you, well, don't get this card and it's just really useful chaff. However, if this card does show up, you better be prepared, because my Wasp techs are no joke. I run HE, Aerial Specialization in case I have to deal with opponent Wasps or air units. Elite for that damage, and also importantly the range scaling and high explosive ammo. The idea here is that Wasps are really good single target DPS units, but they don't have any built-in splash. So they're very bad at clearing things like chaff. And I like to pair this usually with something like Worm, but Worm also doesn't deal with chaff, so it means I need yet another chaff clear unit like maybe a Wraith. But at that point things get a bit expensive. So I found out that if I get the Improved Wasp card, I still get a net positive in terms of attack, even if I do get the minus 30% decrease from HE. But I get 7 meters of splash, which means that I don't necessarily need the Wraith. And yeah, you can see here instant range on that round, and suddenly the turns, or the tables have turned. The turns have tabled. Well, not quite. And another great thing for me here is that I don't need to go into the spider mirror, right? I don't really want to end up into this mirror, especially because my opponent already got range first and more deployments. So getting offered that Wasp card was really nice for me. Round 5, we get a bunch of units here. Farseer picked up for my opponent, makes a lot of sense. For me, it's probably just going to be the Sabertooth and the sell button, and I'll probably try and get into Worm here as fast as possible. Opponent gets the mines onto his tarantulas. These can be quite useful against something like the Sandworm. Makes them unburrow and then makes them tank the damage from the mine instantly. And yeah, we go double Worm here by selling the Saber, and we even have enough money to get something like the Sandstorm. Now, Sandstorm is also a tech a lot of people have taken off the bar because it got changed a while back and it only lasts for 5 seconds now. But it is very powerful. It still reduces range by 50%. Keep in mind, the smoke spell that you can get only diminishes range by 30%, I think. So it is the strongest range nerf effect in the game. And yeah, it's just such a nice pairing with the Wasps. And I mean, look at them go. Like, you think that the board is basically dealt with, and then these Wasps just keep on going. They keep killing stuff. And at the end, it's still just like a Farseer and a Tarantula surviving. I mean, I don't mind. I know that this scales out of control very, very quickly. And the longer the game goes, the more I end up in with, like, what you could maybe call an Exodia comp, almost. Round 6, we get Portable Shield. Lovely item for the steel balls. I want to try and keep them around for a bit longer, because they can really be very useful, and the item also is making me consider that, at least. Now, I have some stuff to sell out of, obviously. I sold out of the Tarantula in the middle last turn. The steel balls here are still not very useful. The Typhoon is still doing okay. Often when I look at units to sell, I will kind of hover over them, see how much damage they dealt. So you can see steel balls are quite useless. Of course, they do have a bit of a chaff function, but that way I can sell out of the units accordingly. Now, I decided to get HE on the Wasp this turn because I am selling out of the Tarantulas. My opponent gets Fortress AA. I think this is one of the better, maybe even mandatory counters to this type of gameplay. Very powerful against the Wasp usually. But with the debuffs, I'm still ahead. I have a bunch of wasp, I have double tech, I have levels. And the level 2 wasps here, importantly, when they're improved, they have over 900 hit points, which means that they can at least tank 1 missile from the fortresses, which deal 900 damage apiece. So luckily, we managed to beat our opponent on that turn. Now we know that we're up against the fortresses with the AA. Improved Wraith shows up. Now I am thinking about buying a Wraith here, just tank for the wasps. But Improved Wraith doesn't add hit points, so it's not really meaningful. And I decided to just skip. I buy double Wraith this turn. Important to buy it at level 2 in this scenario, because I need the additional hit points so that I can click Field Maintenance and hopefully tank a bit for my wasps. I also tried to put it kind of in between the wasps so that you don't get a clumping effect and the wasps still get hit by accident. My opponent also doesn't run AA on the marksman, so he does go double shots, but doesn't have that prioritized targeting, so I think this Wraith should do very well. Of course here, every time, every round, we need to pick up the levels on the Wasp. This is very important because it'll make the elite tech so much better once we have the money to click it. Also, those balls there have been doing so incredibly well. In fact, if you hover over them, they are top on damage throughout this game. Killing that fortress, killing the blue one as well. Round 8, we get Orbitaled, so this is a bit of a... These turns are always a bit painful, Orbital and especially Storm. There's not much you can do about, but this is why I like to go wide. At least I can kind of try and save one part of the board. And the other one, I just have to use a beacon and try and gamble where my opponent would put the Orbital. So here, I was expecting him to put it left side, since I have more stuff over here, right? Right side was doing better. These wasps on the right are doing the most damage, but I only have like 2 crawler packs here, whereas here I have arc lights, I have a tarantula, I have more crawlers, the steel balls, so it's more valuable for him to orbital left. And that's why you'll see me beacon out one of these packs here to the side and try and avoid the orbital. I don't pick up the spell there because I wasn't expecting to get too much value out of it, and I don't really want to run into it either. And I decided to just pick up another worm. We also did pick up the super heavy armor there, so the Wraith is even tankier and will heal for even more, thanks to that HP scaling. Now you can see the worms are dying pretty quickly against the fortresses, the marksmen, the tarantulas, but that's not too big of a deal just yet. I kind of just need them to get that sandstorm down for now. And the nice thing is that my opponent hasn't bought Mustangs yet. I think he's done the correct thing by going for Fortress. The Fortresses, by the way, 2 turns or 3 turns ago, were given armor. Not a tech you see very often, but all giants do have it. It gains 50% HP, which is the most important effect. The 60 block damage doesn't really matter. I think a lot of people also get baited by this. Wasps are not the same as something like Mustang. They actually deal a lot of damage. So usually armor doesn't do anything against them. And even less if they're improved Wasp, right? Round 9, we get more unit reinforcements. Overlord here looks pretty good for my opponent. The rest, not the most interesting. It's also the easiest to sell. And so I decide to pick it up as well and immediately sell it. My opponent, though, clicks another interesting tech there, going for the field maintenance on these new Overlords. 55,000 hit points. I mean, it is quite tanky. But again, this isn't really going to matter that much against the Wasp, I don't think. These guys DPS very well, right? If these were Mustangs, I would agree. These are good techs. But against Wasp, I mean, it's just bonus hit points, so trying to stall. Either way, the Overlord is very nice in front of the Wraith here to try and lock on instantly, and it should. So I like that play. A bit surprised he doesn't put the big Overlord in front of the bigger Wraith. Level 1 here in front of the super heavy armor one. And we get the 3rd tech on the Wasp this turn. Important that I'm loaning here. It's round 9. My opponent is as well. Getting the temp range every turn. And yeah, now we're triple teched. These Wasp 150 range. And you can see that they're just able to tank these missiles, right? 2,700 hit points. They can actually tank 3 missiles. And so that means that they are simply able to survive. And I mean, the board just looks like it's done with, right? But look at these wasps go. They're able to take down a fortress there, save myself some hit points, take out another marksman, take out the tower, take out another marksman, take out a third, mind you. Why not? And they will eventually go down to the Forte A there, you have to imagine, but it's so crazy to see these little guys just clean up boards after you would think the game or the round is already over. Improved firepower control system shows up on round 10. Nice item. Super heavy is good too, obviously. I clicked mechanical division on my sandworms last round. I didn't go for replicates because the worms don't really get to burrow much. They tend to just die instantly. So getting the larvae to spawn just adds another distraction onto the board. And it's also a really cheap tech. Opponent here decides to go for Shielded Fang. But we have HE Wasp, so I don't think that's a great pickup. Also, he only has 4 packs of Fangs. That's it. And he does run Fang spawn, so maybe that's what he wants to do on the fortresses. But I don't think it's that valuable. He really should have bought Mustangs here at some point. Although it might already be a bit late. The whole idea of this comp is to catch the Mustangs inside of the storm, so they walk forward, and then the Wasps can deal with them. And on top of that, I mean, you've got level 6 Wasps here, and they have 155 range. They don't really mind battling Mustangs that much anymore. Prowler on the flank here, I'm not sure what that was supposed to do. I decided to beacon my balls from the middle here to the side. 1, to delay them, and 2, for them to target this big fortress on the left, because it is causing me some trouble. And last turn, the balls just ran in first, died very early on, but now you can see that this beacon is paying off, and the steel balls have managed to kill one of the big targets. Meanwhile, right side gets in, and we have another convincing round as we take down that Overlord. It's not quite game, though. As we enter round 11, Incendiary Bomb available, Vulcan's Descent available. I do decide to pick up the Incendiary there. It's worth a shot. It's not too expensive. We both have so much money. And, I mean, I don't really need to buy all that much. By the way, I did buy these Wasps here in the back because there was an Overlord drop last turn. So that's why I added them. And also, when I have Triple Tech Wasp, it's not really that bad to buy more of them. They will definitely be useful. At this point, it's also nice to start building more layers of worms, so you kind of keep the sandstorms coming. If like your first wave, then the sandworms die, then the second wave gets in, and you just keep up that sandstorm on their board. Now, both of us do go for the Incendiary Oil play. I can't really do much about this. I tried to shield as far up as I could, but there is going to be fire on the board. I don't have that many crawlers though, so we might just be fine. And at this point, the sandworms are doing a pretty decent job as well. And I think my wasps have just scaled to the point where there's not really much to be done against them anymore. Level 6, elite, range, HE, improved wasp. I mean, it's just a bit much. I also did pick up both of the tower enhancements there by the end because I had so much money left available, and that is how we close out the game. Yeah, this is one of my favorite comps. I used to do this with normal wasp. You can sometimes do it, but it is quite vulnerable and you kind of lack the damage, right, to kill the big stuff. That's usually the issue with the wasp. It's not just keeping them alive, but it's also trying to kill the fortresses, which tend to do quite well into Sandworm. So if you don't have the improved wasp, you will often lack the damage to be able to click HE and also still kill the fortresses. But if you do get the card, I have an exceptionally high win rate with this. I think I've only lost 1 game in recent memory against Raidens, and that's it. And that was pre-nerf Raiden. Every other game that I've clicked it and I play this, I tend to win. So yeah, it is really powerful. It's lots of fun. You do have to give up all of the other wasp rolls for it. You can't use them for shielded wasp anymore. You can't take jump drive. But man, it is a fun sight to see your wasp just clear everything. Anyway, what do you think of this game? What do you think about Wasp? Do you run these techs, or do you just think that shield or jump drive is too valuable? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to stay up to date with all my latest content, please do consider subscribing. Check me out on Twitch if you want to see me play live. And with that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.